The warnings begin. Every star system had heard the warnings. From the cold moons of the Iales belt to the lush rings of Numa Prime, the message was the same: do not let the humans advance. The Council had declared them unstable, dangerous creatures from a death world that had no place in galactic peace. They fight too hard. They don't surrender. They adapt. These words were repeated on every broadcast channel, engraved on every border satellite. Ships from Earth had already pushed too far. Colonies were rising on planets where only ruins used to stand. The Council called it reckless. Earth called it progress. Some species believed the warnings. They closed their ports. They shut their gates. Others were curious. Captain Jarrow of the Talanari watched the newest report come through the holoscreen. The image showed a human frigate leaving behind the remains of a pirate fleet, flames still burning in space. He clenched his jaw. We must keep them out, he said to his crew. They'll bring fire to everything. But it was already too late. Far from the core systems, a human warship named Arrow Light floated in silence. Inside, Commander Hale stood at the command table. His eyes moved across the glowing map. Borders. Warnings. Red zones. None of it mattered. He turned to his team, strong, quiet people who had survived a dozen battles. They don't want us to come through, he said. But we are not stopping. Not until we reach Haven. Sir, a voice said, Haven is across 5 restricted sectors. Commander Hale nodded. Then we break through 5. The crew didn't argue, they never did. In the Galactic Forum, leaders of dozens of worlds gathered. One by one, reports came in. Systems that tried to block human ships were overwhelmed. Not destroyed, just passed. Human ships moved fast, avoided fights when they could, and hit hard when they couldn't. They are not here to negotiate, said High Speaker Van, a tall figure from the waterworld of Lephis. They are here to carve their path. Another leader asked, can we stop them? The room fell silent, because they had tried. Warnings had been sent. Forces had gathered. But humanity didn't flinch, they pushed forward anyway. Meanwhile, in a border outpost, a young alien technician named Lyra watched a screen light up. A new ship had entered their sector. The ship wasn't attacking. It wasn't broadcasting a threat. It was simply moving forward. She opened the comms and called out, unregistered human vessel, turn around. This is restricted space. The answer came after a moment, no, that was it, just one word, but it carried more weight than 1,000 warnings. Lyra looked at her commander. What do we do? He stared at the screen for a long time before saying, we report it. And we pray they don't stop here. Back on the Arrow Light, Commander Hale watched a glowing star fade in the distance. They had passed another checkpoint. Another warning zone ignored. He tapped the console. Keep moving, he said. They warned the galaxy. Now we show the galaxy why. He didn't say it with anger. He said it with purpose. Humanity had asked to join. They had asked to help. But they had been ignored. Now, they were carving a place for themselves, one system at a time, and nothing in the stars could stop them. The Arrow Light moved like a shadow across the stars, silent and steady. Its black hole reflected nothing. Behind it, the wreckage of a blockade station drifted, disabled, not destroyed. That was the human way now. Quick. Clean. Relentless. Commander Hale stood on the bridge, arms crossed, eyes locked on the star map. 3 more zones, he said quietly. Then we reach Haven. Beside him, Officer Mara typed in new coordinates. The next zone is controlled by the Yetran Guard. They won't just warn us, they'll fire. Hale gave a faint nod. Let them try. On the Yetran command ship, General Toll watched the incoming blip on the screen. Human vessel. 1 ship only. No backup. No cargo. Just speed and silence. Is this a joke? Toll asked, his second in command. Shook his head. They've broken through 5 sectors already. Why? They are headed for Haven. Toll narrowed his eyes. There are rules. Agreements. No species moves through restricted zones. Not even humans. He raised his clawed hand. Power up all weapons. Tell them to turn back. The warning came through like the others, human vessel. You are entering Yetran space. Turn back or be fired upon. On the arrow light, the crew waited. No one moved. The silence was tense but calm. Commander Hale finally spoke. Activate shield harmonics. Go dark. And forward. The ship dimmed. Lights inside went red. Outside, it seemed to vanish into the star field. Then the arrow light charged. The Yet ran. Guard was ready. Point 12 ships surrounded the border. Heavy weapons pointed forward. Missile systems locked in place. Fire, General Toll ordered, and they did. Dozens of energy bolts flew across the void. But the human ship spun, dodged, slipped through gaps like it had memorized the space around it. The arrow light danced. Point 2 Yet ran. Ships collided, trying to follow its movement. Another tried to flank it and vanished in a blast of its own. Failed. Missile, inside, Officer Mara called out, minor hull damage. Shields holding. They are not used to our speed. Commander Hale didn't smile. But his voice was firm. Don't stop. The battle lasted 6 minutes. 6 minutes, and the arrow light was through. The Yetran Guard never expected it. They were trained for standoffs, long-range fights, slow ships. But the humans moved like nothing they'd ever seen. Like wolves in space. When it was over, the human vessel sent a single message back to the Yetran fleet: you were warned too. Then it disappeared into the stars again. Across the galaxy, news spread like fire. Another warning failed, another. System broken through. The Council called an emergency session. Leaders of 15 species gathered in the orbital citadel above Sorella, 9. The message was clear: we can't stop them. One voice rose, a quiet, older diplomat named Reen. They are not invading, she said. They are reaching something. Something they believe is theirs. The others scoffed, but Reen continued. We ignored them when they asked for peace. We laughed when they offered science. We feared their strength. And now we face it. Back on the arrow light, the crew rested. Meals were eaten in silence. Repairs were done quickly. No celebrations. No cheers. They were too close to haven. Commander Hale stood at the viewport alone, watching the stars pass by. Behind those stars was a planet he had never seen, but one he would reach, no matter what. He remembered the first message Earth had sent the galaxy, decades ago: we seek unity. No one answered. So now Earth answered for itself. The arrow light flew past the ruins of ancient satellites, some still sparking with life, others just floating shells. This part of space had been dead for centuries. No trade. No comms. No warning beacons left, but that was exactly what made it dangerous. This zone was once controlled by the Drix Coalition, Officer Mara said, scanning the debris. Long gone. But their firewall drones still run auto-defense programs. Commander Hale nodded. Ghost systems. And they fire on anything that moves. Inside the command deck, the lights dimmed. The crew switched to manual controls. Their fingers gliding over screens. The Drix had been masters of hidden traps. Their space was full of invisible turrets, floating mines, drones that activated at the scent of heat. Other species avoided this place. Humans studied it. Now, they passed through it. Cut engines to 30%, Hale ordered. Keep thermal output low. The arrow light slowed, gliding like a ghost itself. For the next hour, the ship floated silently. Drones scanned. Mines blinked. But none triggered, until, beep, movement, Mara said. A single Drix drone spun to life behind them, fast. Sharp. It charged the arrow light without hesitation. The human crew didn't panic. They had trained for this decoy. Hale shouted. A pod launched from the side of the ship. The drone locked on, thinking it had found the target, too late to realize the pod was just empty metal. It exploded. The shockwave shook the rear of the ship but caused no major damage. Mara smiled. That's one. But 10 more dots appeared on the screen. Hale's voice stayed calm. Then we dance. Back at the Galactic Forum, the leaders watched the live broadcast in silence. The Drix zone was considered a death corridor. No one had made it through since the fall of the Coalition. Now, humans were doing it. No warships. No armada, just one ship. One. General Toll from the Yetran Guard leaned forward, fists clenched. How are they still alive? Rin gave a quiet answer. Because they never stop. On the battlefield of stars, the arrow light spun and dipped, dodging beams from the Drix drones. The crew moved like a single machine. Every calculation. Every turn. Perfect. One drone clipped their hull, sparks flew, systems blinked, but they didn't fall. We need an EMP burst, Mara said. Short range. It'll shut them down, but we have to be close. Do it, Hale ordered. They pushed forward, right into the heart of the drone cloud. 3, 2, 1. A white pulse burst from the arrow light, spreading like a flash. Wave. The drones dropped, silent, frozen in space. The way ahead was clear. Hale leaned against the console, breathing slowly. He wasn't smiling, but his eyes were burning with something stronger. We're through, Mara said, almost in disbelief. We were warned, Hale replied, but warnings don't stop the will. They re-engaged full speed. One more system left between them and Haven, and now the galaxy was watching. Back in Council space, panic was growing. They beat the Yetran fleet, one leader said. They made it through the Drix firewalls. Another added, they are not even sending demands, someone whispered. They are just a-coming. Rin stood. You warned them. All of you. But warnings are not the same as walls. And now? Rin looked toward the star map. Now. We see if Haven is ready. The arrow light drifted into the edge of the final zone. Ahead lay Haven, a bright blue planet surrounded by a wide ring of satellites, ancient stations, and newer defense systems. The last gate to Earth's destination. The last line the galaxy hoped would stop them. This is the last system, Mara said, her voice low. They've thrown everything here. Mixed fleets. Automated cannons. Old world mines. Even orbital scramblers. Commander Hale stared at the map. Good. It means they know we are close. Haven wasn't just any world. It was once a joint colony, built long ago by several species. But when war came, it was abandoned. Now it was guarded, locked away, declared a neutral zone, but for humanity. Haven was personal. Years ago, during Earth's first contact era, Earth sent envoys there, scientists, settlers, peace speakers. None returned. The truth had been buried by the Galactic Council, but Earth remembered. Now the arrow light came to uncover. IT.in Haven Command Station, a nervous officer watched the feed. Human ship entering sector. Alone. Fleet Commander Velan frowned. Still only one. Yes, sir. Velan stood and paced. They've crossed half the galaxy. Broken through 7 war zones. This isn't one ship. This is a message. The command team didn't respond. Everyone was already tense. The sky above Haven was filled with defense drones, torpedo tubes, orbital shields, and over 30 military vessels. Send the warning again, Velan ordered. A message beamed to the arrow light. You are entering restricted space. This is your last warning. Turn back, or face full destruction. Commander Hale didn't blink. Set course straight through the middle. Prepare the shield drill. Mara turned to him. All of them will fire, sir. Oh no. You think we'll survive? Hale paused. We don't have to survive. We just have to show them we're not afraid. The ship charged forward, sensors lit up. Warning screamed. The sky ahead bloomed with red lights as ships turned, targeted, locked in, missiles fired, energy beams flashed, dozens of weapons lit the void, but the arrow light didn't. A UN.IT split its engines into 2 pulse cycles, dancing between shots, diving under missiles, crashing through energy fields. Shields rippled, the ship rocked, but it kept going. Inside Haven control, alarms rang. They are not stopping. Shields at 40%. They passed the first blockade. Velan slammed his fist on the panel. Focus fire. Stop that ship. But no matter how hard they hit, the arrow light came forward, like a spear, straight and true. One Yetran cruiser blocked the way. It fired all cannons. The arrow light responded with a silent torpedo, one that sent an EMP burst across the cruiser's hull, shutting it down cold. Commander Hale held the rail tight as the ship shook violently. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Hull breach, Section 3. Engine stable. We are 2 minutes from the atmosphere. Atmosphere. Mara repeated. You're landing. We are not here to circle above, he said. We are here to show up. To stand on that world. And remind them who they left behind. In the council, chaos unfolded. They are landing. That world is protected. They don't care. Rin stood slowly. And neither would you if your people were left to die in silence. No one answered her because they all knew she was right. Back on Haven, the arrow light pierced through the final defense field. The blue skies opened. Beneath them, clouds wrapped around the damaged ship like soft hands. Below, green valleys and quiet ruins waited. Hale looked out the viewport. I'm coming home, he whispered. The landing gear dropped, engines roared one last time, and the human warship, battered, scarred, but unbroken, touched down on Haven's soil. Asterisk. The ground shook slightly as the arrow light landed on Haven's surface. Dust rose in soft waves. Wind brushed over the old landing pads that hadn't been used in decades. Birds scattered into the sky. Silence returned quickly, but it was no longer peaceful. Commander Hale stood at the open ramp, helmet under his arm, eyes scanning the horizon. The landing was done. Now came the truth. Officer Mara joined him, adjusting her gear. No resistance. Not yet, Hale said. They are watching us from orbit. But no one wants to fire on the ground. They are afraid of the message. He nodded. Good. The rest of the small team gathered, 10 humans in light armor. Not soldiers, but explorers. Researchers. Survivors. All of them had family lost here, generations ago. The mission wasn't revenge. It was memory. They stepped into Haven. The colony was quiet. Ruins of buildings still stood. Metal beams bent by time. Stone streets cracked by roots and frost. Everything looked frozen, like someone had pressed pause on a world long ago. A sign still hung over one structure, Unity Post 17, Earth Joint Settlement. Mara read it aloud. This was ours. It still is, Hale said. Deep inside the ruins, they found the first real sign of what happened. A pile of crates marked with Earth's flag. Inside, data cores, broken tools, and one old, blood-stained uniform. Mara knelt beside it. This belonged to the settlers. They were attacked, one team member said quietly. Another replied, no. They were abandoned. Commander Hale opened one of the data cores. It flickered, then came to life. A message played. A woman's voice, tired but calm. This is Dr. Rana from Unity Post 17. We've been cut off. The council refuses to answer. Local security forces are turning hostile. If anyone from Earth hears this, don't trust the council. We were never meant to survive. Silence followed, then Hale whispered, now the galaxy hears it too. He pressed a button. The message was uploaded, broadcasted in all directions. Above in orbit, the council fleets received it first, then the relay stations, then every news feed. The voice of a human woman long dead echoed through the stars. The truth was now public. Back at the council chamber, shouting began. They've exposed classified history. They are trying to stir rebellion. Reen didn't yell. She simply said, they found what we tried to hide. They broke laws. Reen turned to the speaker. No. They broke silence. No one could argue because every viewer across the stars was now asking the same thing. What else had Earth been right about? On Haven, Hale and his team stood near the broken post. The message was sent, but Hale wasn't done. He walked through the cracked streets until he reached the small graveyard near the edge of the forest. The stones were overgrown, but the names were still there. Human names, dozens of them. He knelt beside one. I told them would come, he said quietly. It just took us a little longer. Behind him, Mara whispered, sir, someone's coming. Across the hill, a group of beings approached, not soldiers, civilians. Scientists. Journalists, aliens from different worlds, drawn by the signal. By the landing, by the truth, they came slowly, not as enemies, but as witnesses. One of them, a tall, pale-skinned elder, raised her hand in peace. We saw the message, she said. Is it true? Hale looked at her and answered with no anger, only clarity. Yes. It's all true. They died here. Alone. But not forgotten. The alien group knelt. Not to surrender, but in respect, and as the sun rose higher over Haven's sky, for the first time in decades, the world felt alive again. Commander Hale looked to the horizon. We broke through every wall to get here, he said. And now we stay. The news of the Arrowlights landing on Haven spread across the galaxy faster than any warship ever could. It wasn't just a human ship breaking through, it was the truth breaking free. People watched the video of the message left behind by Dr. Rana. They saw the graves. They saw the old Earth flag still hanging on the side of a collapsed building, and they listened to the silence of the council. For many, that silence was louder than any gun. On Haven, the second day began with ships in the sky, but they weren't warships. Small transports began arriving, unarmed vessels from nearby neutral worlds, filled with scholars, truth seekers, and even council delegates pretending to be observers. Hale stood outside Unity Post 17 as one after another landed across the valley. No one aimed weapons. No one barked orders. This wasn't a battlefield anymore. It had become a memorial. Mara stepped beside Hale, holding a scanner. More than 40 ships have landed. Over 200 visitors. And no one's drawn a weapon. Hale asked. Not yet. But they are nervous. He nodded. Let them be. They've never seen a human mission that wasn't military. That alone will shake them. A tall creature from a water world approached, his skin reflecting the sunlight like polished stone. I am Dallin, the being said. My people once voted to seal this world. Today, I offer you access to our archives. There are records, truths we buried. You should see them. Hale looked him in the eye. And why now? Dallin replied simply, because the galaxy just remembered what fear cannot erase: honor. In orbit, the council fleet waited. Some captains still wanted to act. But they received new orders: do nothing. Attacking now would only confirm the very guilt that humanity had uncovered. Still, one cruiser captain sent a private message to the council command: if the humans came to start a war, they already won. They've invaded minds, not worlds. Back at the council headquarters, everything was chaos: demands for resignations, protests on core worlds. Former allies now questioning the past. In a quiet corner office, Reen sat with the footage from Haven looping on a screen. 10 humans, she whispered. And one truth. She tapped her comms. Send a message to Haven, she said. Tell them a council member is coming. Not as a ruler. As a witness. On the ground, Hale walked through the colony ruins again, now surrounded by visitors. Some took photos, some stood in silence, some cried, especially those whose ancestors once served on Earth's first diplomatic teams. A young alien girl tugged at Mara's sleeve. Is it true? She asked. Did they really leave you here? Mara looked at her, then kneeled. They didn't all leave. Some stayed. And now we've come back for them. The mood changed that evening. A large crowd gathered in front of Unity Post 17. Hale stood at the top of the steps, looking out over hundreds of beings from different worlds. He spoke clearly, without pride or anger, only truth. We were warned not to come, he said. Every system told us to turn back. They said we were dangerous. They said we didn't belong. He paused, and yet, here we are. The crowd listened in silence. We came not for war, but for our people. For the voices buried here. For the families who waited generations for answers. He stepped aside and played Dr. Rana's message. Once more, many lowered their heads. A few wiped their eyes. When the message ended, Hale looked up. We are not asking for forgiveness. We are not asking for permission. We came to remember. And from this ground, we will rebuild. A hand rose in the crowd. A soft voice asked, will you stay? Hale looked around at the faces, different species, different pasts, but all united in that moment. Yes, he said. This is our place too. And as the stars turned slowly above them, the world called Haven, once lost, once silent, began to breathe again, not with soldiers, but with memory, truth, and the quiet strength of those who refused to be forgotten. By the 7th day, Haven no longer looked like a forgotten world. The landing zone had grown into a camp, a strange but peaceful mix of tents, scientific platforms, and story circles. Humans walked beside aliens. Children played where old warning signs once stood. No soldiers guarded the gate. No one needed to. This was no longer about who had power. It was about who had the truth and who finally chose to see it. Commander Hale stood at the top of the old council beacon tower, now reactivated, and shining a soft blue light into the sky. He looked down at the colony below, watching as more people arrived each hour. Mara climbed the steps behind him. Council ship just entered orbit, she said. Flagship. They've requested permission to land. Hale didn't move. Who's on board? Reen. Alone. He gave a small nod. Let her land. The council shuttle touched down quietly. No fanfare. No guards. Reen stepped out, dressed not in her usual council robes, but in plain clothes, simple and grey, like a civilian. She carried nothing except a data scroll. Mara met her at the base of the ramp. No escort. Reen smiled gently. If I needed protection here, humanity would have already lost. Mara tilted her head. Then why come? Reen looked around at the ruins, the flags, the children. To say something I should have said long ago. She stood before Hale minutes later, in the main square, in front of a quiet crowd. No one shouted. No one stopped her. She spoke clearly, her voice steady despite the weight of a galaxy behind her. I am Reen of the Council. And today, I speak not as a leader, but as someone who watched the truth and stayed silent too long. She looked around. What happened here was wrong. What was hidden here was a crime. And the fact that it was you, the humans, who came back first, is something we must all face. She opened the scroll and laid it on the memorial stone in the center of Unity Post. It glowed. A signal was sent. A broadcast opened across the entire galaxy, again, but this time, Reen's voice was the one that spoke. This is the Council. We admit the truth. The settlers of Haven were abandoned. Their cries were ignored. And the records were buried. We offer this correction now, not as forgiveness, but as recognition. Let the galaxy remember. Let Haven be the place where silence ended. Let this be the first step to something better. No one clapped, but no one walked away, because the galaxy had just seen something rare, an apology with no conditions. Later that night, Hale walked alone to the edge of the forest. The stars above Haven were clearer than ever. He tapped his small recorder and spoke softly. This is Commander Hale. We've done what we came to do. The mission is complete. The dead are no longer forgotten. The truth has been spoken. He looked up at the sky. I was told we'd never make it. That the warnings would stop us. But warnings don't break will. And they never stop memory. He smiled faintly. Haven isn't lost anymore. It's found. And now we rebuild. In the following days, the Council formally opened Haven to all species. A monument was built, half stone, half steel, with both human and alien names carved. Side by side. Earth sent new settlers, not soldiers, but builders, healers, teachers. Other worlds followed. And the Arrow Light, though too damaged to fly again, was left standing as a symbol, its black hull shining under the sun, its engines cold, but its legacy burning brighter than ever. One visitor later asked, why didn't the humans bring an army? A young girl from Earth answered, we didn't need one. We brought something stronger. What's stronger than an army? The alien asked. She smiled, purpose. And so, the warnings that once echoed across the stars were slowly replaced by stories. By names. By bridges where walls had stood, and every being who came to Haven would see the monument and read its final line. They warned every star system, but humanity still came. And because of that, we all remembered. Asterisk.